Law. I don't feel like I have the energy right now, but whenever I do want to actually give a proper like PoE 2 talk, I can give you a preview of what the first like 5 words are going to be. I don't understand why PoE 2 exists. That's where it started. You know what? Maybe I do have the energy. Maybe I do. Like the original scope for PoE 2 was new campaign, new class, new ascendancies, new gems, and a new gem system, right? Like that was the original scope, but shared endgame. And when we think about PoE 2, what is good, it is exclusively the things that I just said. It's the campaign. Like the one single thing that PoE 2 actually does better than the first game is the new player experience in the campaign. It is so much fucking better. Like this game's campaign experience is fucking dog shit if you don't know what's happening. Like vendors use like 9 different currencies to buy things, gems, or 9 different currencies. Like, it sucks. It's really bad. Whereas in PoE 2, like the uncut skill gems and the like vendors all being gold, it's so much easier to like follow and understand what's happening. The like hand holding of the gem system for recommended stuff, even though often it's not the best, is way better than here's a window with 95 gems in it, good fucking luck. The way the game kind of pushes you into these like archetypes of like lightning versus whatever else, like it all kind of it's just way easier. The game is way easier to play if you don't know what's happening. And that's really good. And the moment you leave Act 3, or really Act 6 maybe, and start mapping, it just is bad. Like if I think about every single change from the first game to the second game, I almost can't think of a single positive change when it comes to actual in-game content. Like the change from killing a map boss to killing all rares, who wants that? Like every time I hit tab and scroll through a map trying to find the rare that's hiding in a corner to kill to get progress, like it's just bad. The map bosses aren't in every map. Why? Map bosses are cool. They're fun. Why can I go an hour without fighting one sometimes? It just makes no sense. Towers? Jesus Christ. Sections got depreciated because they were tedious, and sections are like 1,000 times better than towers. Map layouts? Like the worst PoE 1 map layout is S plus in PoE 2. I didn't even think it was possible to design map layouts that are so unfun. And checkpoints got added? Jesus, man. Fucking checkpoints. The moment people started asking for checkpoints in maps, that should have been infinite fucking red flags exploding out of every single corner. If layouts are so dog shit that players want checkpoints, that needs to be like a complete redesign of how layouts work. It's like, how are 80% of layouts like unrunnable? Like fucking Mire, like Augury, like the way loot works in the end game, 95% of all items drop from rare monsters. Every single trash monster, there's no reason to kill it except for experience. It won't drop loot. It will never drop none that matters. And like the breach problem as well, like 90% of all loot comes from breaches. And like so much of the shit is like, oh, you can hand me it away with, oh, it's early access. But is it really? Like, I mean, to me, when I hear like early access / beta, what I think is this is an unfinished game that's going to be changed a lot constantly. It's been 2 months. What's changed? Like, what's fucking changed? There's not even balance changes happening until resets come out. Like, with new leagues, as if it's a fully released game. I don't fucking get it, man. I don't get it. If PoE 2 stayed with its original scope of new campaign, new gem system, shared endgame, God, it would've been so fucking sick. But like that endgame, it's not even like, oh, it's neat, just needs time to cook. It's just like every single change feels like it's just a change because it needed to be different than the first game. But I don't understand how it's better. And the phrase meaningful combat, I swear to God, I've heard the phrase meaningful combat 100 times in the last like 2 years. PoE 2 has the most meaningless combat of any single RPG I've ever played. It doesn't exist. There is no combat. Every single build, you use one button, you right click, the entire screen explodes. Like, what the fuck? Why? Why is that a thing? Why is that still a thing 2 months later? Like, people are gonna be so used to that when they finally take it away, there's gonna be so much complaining. And it is just so boring. Like, killing monsters in that game is so boring because you don't do anything. Even when I tried to like not do that kind of setup, like and intentionally skipped heralds on crossbows, it's the same thing. You press galvanic arrow, the entire screen explodes. Even this character falls into the category of one button builds. Like this would be referred to as a one button build in Path of Exile 1. To clear like an expedition, before I had the chest, I would like Enduring Cry, dodge monster abilities with Shield Charge and Frostblink, right click, press Val Grace as a defensive button whenever I felt like it, drop Flame Walls on targets to buff my shit and do more damage, and Sniper Smart, any tanky rares in there. In Path of Exile 2, you right click. I don't know. I feel like splitting the game, like maybe splitting the games has saved Path of Exile 1 from having a bunch of changes that fucked it up, but like, god damn, dude, that endgame is like, it's not even like, oh, it just needs time. It's just doomed. It's fucking doomed, man. I'm so doomer pilled on that endgame. I don't know. Campaign's good. Campaign's fun. Everything after the campaign, why? It's nostalgic to go full nuke. Have you played a bad build in PoE 2 yet? Because I have. I have. That's how I started PoE 2. Was in multiple bad melee builds. It's like Titan, if you play it properly, is really good. If you do Herald Abuse, you just one-shot the screen easily. But like playing actual bad melee builds, the pushy, no phasing system genuinely made me almost quit the game on day 3. Like it's just like the clunkiest, least fun combat I've ever experienced when playing bad builds. And then when playing good builds, the thing with Path of Exile 1, when you get to a character that's like fucking just zoomer, cracked, completely broken, the game is still, like the game keeps getting more and more fun. Because there's one super important thing you can do in this game, and that is scale speed. Like when it comes to how a character functions in ARPGs, there's like 3 categories. There's defense, offense, and speed. And this game, you are constantly being just like thrown into scenarios where you're choosing one of the 3. And anytime you choose one, the other 2 suffer a little bit. In PoE 2, it took me like, by level 90, like my Titan would right click and one shot the whole screen. And from that point forward, there's nothing that I could ever do to improve the character. I could play for 1,000 hours, it would never get better. Unless I like migrated to Trade League and bought Temporalis, because there's no way to invest in speed except one dumbass unique item. Oh, I didn't even talk about crafting. Holy shit. That was like a 10-minute rant. I didn't talk about crafting. My god. Gear acquisition. What the fuck? Do I need to... I don't know if I even want to bother. Like, fuck me. Long before PoE 2 came out, we had to talk about why other ARPGs suck compared to Path of Exile 1. Like, one defining factor that was super important to me. If the only way to get gear is to kill a monster and hope it drops a good item, that's really bad. That's really, really, really bad. And that was like D3's problem. That kind of became D4's problem as well. Like, that's not interesting. And PoE 1 has like 8 systems that are, you know, that all are good at their own individual crafting thing. Like Essences, Harvest, Delve, Metacrafting, Scour being all things you're accommodating right now. Like there's so many different things and they're all good for different items. And then also in the early game, like day 1, day 2, first 20, 30 hours, like you wear shit you ID'd off the ground. Like that has a place too, but it just gets outscaled, which I think is good. Every single map that I run in PoE 2, I have to pick up every single base type of every single item that I could ever wear, put them all in a quad tab. And then eventually when I get enough, I alch them all, / like augment, transmute, regal, whatever. And then 3-to-1 them in the most like tedious fucking clunky way ever. Like the 3-to-1 thing, instead of being a vendor, like the whole vendoring getting split up into like 6 different systems is one of those changes that's the exact same as the well. It is thematically good. It makes sense in universe, lore-wise, it's good. But when I'm playing the game, I don't care about that. I care about fun. And if I want to turn 21 necrotic armors into 7 rare necrotic armors, I'd rather just vendor all of them at once. I mean, necrotic armors you can't do because, you know, they don't really fit in the window. But like with smaller things, like if I have 40 breach rings, I could just vendor 40 of them and get back like 16 rares. But instead it's like, I'm gonna spend 2 minutes doing a little 3-to-1 fucking thing with an animation. It's like cool, it looks cool, lore, themes, cool. But like, it's so tedious. Tedious is like the key word for everything regarding the endgame mapping and whatnot. Like I do a map, I leave, I scrap certain things based on if they have quality or sockets. I maybe disenchant if I need regal shards, I vendor if not, but only vendor bad bases that I picked up. Good bases have to go into a certain quad tab, and there's no affinities for any of this, and there never will be because you can't really set them up that way. And then you go back to your main quad tab to dump in all of your other shit, and it's like there's just like so much shit. Like one of the best things about this game in the end game is when you reach a point where you stop picking up 6 sockets, you've outscaled rare items off the ground, and you leave the game, or the map, you dump into your quad tab, 90% of your loot is going into affinity tabs. You put in the next map, you go. You can just grind. And map prepping, holy. Like, I'm currently at like the worst part of Path of Exile 1 map prepping, which is I'm still doing blue maps. My sustain isn't good enough to bulk roll, and it's still like way nicer because I don't have that horrendous fucking Atlas tree. I can run maps that I want to run when I want to run them. I can roll them bulk like 20 in advance and then just grab all 20, put them in the inventory and just fucking blast. On the Atlas passage tree, there is no Atlas passage tree. You have 30 points and they all say you drop more loot. Like they all say you drop 1% more loot. That is one of the things where like that will naturally get fixed as more stuff gets added to the game. They'll expand that. Like that's one of the things you can kind of hand wave away with like, oh, it's EA. Like so much of it is like it's not like the game is just lacking content. That's not the problem. Like most of it is like very intentional choices that are like neat, that look good, but when it comes to actually playing the game, it just feels so fucking tedious and doesn't know what it wants to be. That's where I feel like the gem system currently is. I feel like the gem system doesn't know what it wants to be. Because originally gems were going to be not damage multipliers. Like supports were not going to be damage multipliers, but then they made them damage multipliers, and then they added a 1 support gem limit, which just feels really weird. Like I don't like it at all where it currently is. I feel like either of the other options are better than what it currently is. It's in this like weird like halfway point where like making it so there's no damage multipliers on supports and it's all utility could be a thing that could feel good if it was done right. And just keeping the PoE system of like your supports just make you do more damage also obviously feels good. We've been using it for 12 years. It's been good. But this current in-between thing just creates these really annoying scenarios where I want to use multiple active skills and I can't because there aren't support gems for it. Like I'm sitting there on a 5 link and getting a 6 link wouldn't matter because there's not a support gem that works that actually helps me. And it's like, that feels really weird. And maybe as they add more active gems to the game, that'll be better if they also add more supports. But like, I don't know if they will. We'll see if they will. Oh shit, the mana cost. Wait, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. The funniest thing was when Karm was bitching in guild chat, he got like an insane weapon, super good weapon, like fucking 700 top end plus 7, and his Hammer of the Gods cost more mana than his character had. Oh fuck. Maybe in 5 years. I just want quarterly updates for this game, and maybe port back the gem system, but without the 1 support gem on it. Because I like that's genuinely the thing that I've been most excited for since fucking 2020 when they announced that shit. Like, that gem system has so much more potential than this one does. I don't like its current, like, the way it currently works, but like, it could be so good, especially in the campaign. Like, god, dude, gems in the campaign are so fucking bad in Path of Exile 1. Like, you just wear, like, your Act 1 3 link for 4 acts, then you wear your Act 3 4 link for 10 acts, because, like, you don't have currency manipulating tools for your sockets until you're in maps, and it's, like, it's so dog shit in the campaign. Like, that gem system plus new ascendancies, what a beautiful world it could have been. I don't like the investment you have to do on a single gem in PoE 2. So one thing that feels kind of weird about that right now, it feels like the drop rate and the whole way the gem system works would make more sense if you instead 6-linked your character slot, not the gem itself. But the problem with that is you can't trade that. So like as soon as you consume that thing, you can't trade it, which I'm pretty sure is why it doesn't work that way. Be consumable. Yeah, but like things being tradable is very important to them. It always has been. Like you make a good item, you can then trade it later. You 6-link that item, you can still trade it later. So like the gem itself being the thing that gets 6-linked makes sense because then you can trade it later if you want to. But the downside of that is like the ability to test different skills is kind of limited as soon as you're in the end game, because if you 5-link a skill and you kind of like are like, wait, now I want to test this other one that's thematically similar but not quite the same. In this game you can just swap your gems and your thing, but in that game you can't because like the gem itself is a 5-link. I don't really know what that's a bad thing though, but I also generally play the game with pretty, like I plan out everything I'm gonna do very far in advance, so like I don't really run into the negatives of that. I feel like in the campaign you can easily like test 3 links and 4 links constantly and test new skills, and by the time you get a 5-link you should like kind of know what you want, I guess. I don't know. But if you 5-link a shit skill, can it actually sell? I haven't looked at trade markets and whatnot. And can essences please drop 100 rarity mapping views 1 per per 2 days? I did 100 rarity mapping for like 10 days playtime and didn't drop a single one. I actually had the 154 rarity for 10 days playtime farming breach with rares. I got 1 perfect 6-link on like day 2 on a no rarity character, and I got my last one like a day before I stopped playing. But I think that was just unlucky. Like most people that I saw had better RNG there. Like fucking Alk rolled hardcore self found and had 2 in like a day, and he's just better. Oh, also one other good thing to talk about instead of only talking about the bad things, the breach boss is fucking sick. That boss is really good. And Arbiter phase 2 is pretty sick too. I'm so surprised by how little changes are happening though. Like that's the thing that really stands out to me. For an EA game, like there's just like so little being changed. I feel like they're afraid to nerf things because they know when they fix the current broken ass builds, people are gonna be mad. But you gotta rip the band-aid off. I don't think waiting is good. Like when they do the reset, it's gonna or like when they do the nerfs, it's gonna be with an economy reset, which is like obviously the ideal solution for a finished game. That's how it always should be in a finished game. But I just feel like first impressions of like how a game plays is like really important. And if you just leave it for, I mean, we're coming up on 2 months and we don't even have a date yet for Druid Huntress. So like, is it gonna be 3 months before the first reset? And if so, like 3 months of combat being like, what I have to assume is nowhere near where they want it to be. There's no way they're happy with the current combat in PoE 2. It's not even just Herald of Ice though. Like that's a big one, but like even non-Herald builds kind of do the same thing. Like Galvanic Arrow does the same thing. Lightning Arrow without Herald of Ice can do the same thing. It's a little bit weaker, but just like the general, like I just like, they talked so much about combos, about like you're gonna use multiple skills in PoE 2, and I haven't even come close. Like I haven't played a single build that uses even half the amount of skills that Path of Exile 1 uses. I've played every single archetype. Like I think the build that I play that has the most character input in terms of like you press buttons to kill monsters is Spark. Spark, which is like historically kind of considered to be a non-interactive playstyle. Like you just press a button and the whole screen gets covered in proj, but somehow Spark, from like a character input point of view, has been the most engaging combat of any of the, or like the most engaging while still being fun combat. Because it's pretty fucking engaging to get your shit pushed in by trash monsters that can push you across the screen whenever they want on a melee character that can't kill anything. It's pretty engaging, it's just not fun. Didn't play minions. I did play minions until Act 3. I played minions until Act 3, learned that when if you outrange them, they despawn and logged out. But they fixed that, apparently, so I might try again soon. When they add specters, maybe I'll try minions again. We'll see. 326 when? How long does this go on YouTube? I don't know. I normally, like, the reason it's taking me like 2 months to really put it all into words is because I really don't like being negative. I want to enjoy things, but like, goddamn. And I just wanted to like wait, you know, and give them time to cook, time to change things and fix things, but it's been 2 fucking months, so who knows? Who knows? At least Path of Exile 1 still exists and is in a really good state.